So for people relocating to Dubai, how much savings do they have to have?
Yeah, I would say minimum, if you're going into sales, £20,000 minimum. One deal can be your yearly salary back home in some countries. I said to my family 6 months and I'll be back.
Yeah.
And then now I'm here and I literally don't think I could ever move home.
Hi guys, welcome to the next episode on my podcast. Today I have a very special guest and we're going to answer so many questions that you guys have about working in Dubai real estate and relocating to Dubai. I want to introduce you to the senior recruiter at Dacha, Ellie Merritt, who has been working with us for 2 years and has managed to recruit amazing candidates from overseas and also very seasoned brokers in Dubai. Ellie, please also introduce yourself and let people know about your experience working as a recruiter all the way back home to Dubai.
Yeah, so my name's Ellie, guys. I'm originally from London in the UK. I moved to Dubai in May 2022. Originally came here on a girls' holiday, and my granddad used to live here for 12 years, and we used to visit him when he used to live here. And then I moved over, and I've been here now for nearly 3.5 years, at Dacha for 2 years. But I have also worked at other real estate companies, which I feel like gives me a little bit of a competitive edge in the market, because I'm able to kind of use the experiences that I've got from other companies and what they're currently doing in the market, what they're doing, and use that to my advantage here at Dacha. So yeah.
Comparing other companies that you worked at, obviously don't name them.
Yes, of course.
What makes Dacha stand out, and how do you feel that you are happier here and other brokers happier here as well?
Yeah, 100%. I think for me, like at the other companies that I worked at, it was all about kind of mass recruiting. And I think the biggest thing that stood out to me at Dacha is that it was never about targets or hitting numbers or having bums on seats. It was always about quality rather than quantity. So for me, yeah, 100%, like it's never been like we have to bring 20 people into the room and kind of see who sticks every single month. And I think that just comes down, obviously, it being a family-run business. So everyone that we bring into the team or into the company, we do treat them as their own, and we do treat them like one big family. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing.
One thing I always hear from our new recruits and even people who have been here for some time is culture. Some people say that the culture we've managed to create is very remarkable. So for me as a business owner, as the company owner, it's difficult to really pinpoint what makes our culture different. So what about you? What do you think makes Dacha's culture different? And yeah, how do agents feel here?
I think the biggest thing with culture here that's different than a lot of other companies is that I think you and James are very involved in the business. And I think I personally have never worked for a company where the CEO is so hands-on with the business and with the agents. And I feel like even if someone does go their separate ways and go somewhere else after Dacha, like you generally have that bond with them where they do feel like part of the family. And a lot of agents that I've hired over the last 2 years have always like had positive feedback about the team, and we've got over 42 nationalities across the board. And even though with so many different people from all different walks of life, nationalities, cultures, religions, everyone still feels like one big team, which I think is really hard to come by, especially in Dubai.
That's the interesting thing you said, when somebody leaves, that I care. Yeah. Actually, the worst thing about my job is when somebody leaves.
Yeah.
I hate losing an agent or anybody else like in the team.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been doing this for a long time. What is the most commonly asked question you get from recruits?
Oh gosh, so many. But I think the biggest question that people ask me is, like, what does it look like within the first couple of months? When can I start earning money? And it's very different for every single agent, obviously.
And I think before we progress, let's make it clear that it's a commission-based job.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
So most of the companies work on 50% basis, right? Mm-hmm. Some off-plan companies actually offer less percentage. I know some offer only 30% on the first few deals, because obviously so much marketing goes to get the off-plan lead. Industry standard is around 50-50, and then there's some smaller companies where they offer up to 70%, and others can offer 80% where you have to pay for everything. You advertise.
Yeah.
Okay. So that brings you on to the starter pack for agents.
Yeah. So especially for people in the UK, like in the UK, you are used to getting a salary, quite a small salary plus commission on top. But the commission, like after tax, you're earning probably 2,000, 2,500 a month, where obviously out here you can make a lot more than that. So I think when I speak to people in the UK, speaking to them about kind of commission-only roles, they're like, oh, this isn't the norm for me. Whereas people from pretty much everywhere else in the world, such as the US, Canada, Australia, most of Europe, they all work on a commission-only basis when it comes to real estate. So it's a lot easier to have those commission-only conversations with them because they understand the role.
So for people relocating to Dubai, how much savings do they have and for how many months to ensure that they don't stress about their finances and then they can actually make it at the job?
Yeah, I would say at minimum, if you're going into sales, £20,000 minimum. If you're going into leasing, you could probably get away with 12 to 15k minimum. The market's changed even since I've been in Dubai for the last 3 years. It's got a lot more expensive. So yeah, I definitely think around those sort of marks.
So obviously for rent,
yeah,
car hire.
Yeah, rent, car hire. The actual day-to-day expenses are quite expensive months, like especially for the first month. A lot of landlords will ask for checks up front. So it's important to make sure that you've got deposits for housing and things like that. So yeah, I'd say.
Speaking of that, Ellie has released her first book or guide on relocating to Dubai, which goes through everything in a lot of details, the costs involved, things you need to prepare for. We're not going to go into all the details here in this podcast because otherwise it's just going to be too long. But if you are serious about relocating to Dubai, I will leave a link below. Check it out, and it will be a really, really good investment for you. If, like I said, if you're serious and you want to be successful, actually move it to Dubai.
Thanks.
Okay, so first of all, one of the most common questions is, do we hire freshers? And this means somebody completely fresh to the industry and I guess to Dubai. And secondly, what qualities do we look for in a candidate?
Yeah. So to answer your first question, yes, 100%. Some of our best agents at Dacha have come from industries not related to real estate at all. Especially with COVID, we saw a lot of people in industries such as hospitality, aviation that didn't have the sales experience, but what they do have is the customer service experience. And at the end of the day, what real estate is it's a customer focused job. So as long as you provide a good customer service to your clients, the commission will chase you. So yeah, 100%. We hire people without experience. We will train them. We will teach them everything we know. And then the second question is the qualities that we look for: just being passionate, being enthusiastic. You don't necessarily need to be the best salesperson to do real estate. You've just got to be enthusiastic and be a people's person, be able to get in front of people, be able to talk to people. That's the most important things, I think, 100%.
From my experience, it's the people who also have a very strong why, that failure is not an option, and also desire to have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because it's a commission-based job, and the opportunities to make life-changing amounts of money is huge. If somebody just wants to relocate to Dubai and money is not their main objective, they can easily find a job in, PA, some other sort of sales where there is a basic salary. So I think for me, I've seen really, really good agents, no matter from what background, as long as they're willing to really do whatever it takes to succeed.
Yeah, I've got an actual really good example. I won't name names, but they're currently working at Dacha. I hope they don't mind me saying this. But I was quite apprehensive to hire them just because they had a family in their home country, 2 children, a wife. The wife wasn't coming out here to work. It was just them being their sole provider. And he said to me, look, Ellie, I want to make this work. I want to change my life. I want to change my family's life. And I was like, okay, he had a really good reason why to make the move. Came here, absolutely smashing it. He's been in the top 10 twice already, and he's been here just since the beginning of this year. So that's, for me, one of the reasons why I love my job. And I think one of the questions I get asked as a recruiter is, why don't you do real estate? And one of them is, I don't have the patience. And secondly, because I get to see the joy out of other people doing well and changing their life. So
And plus, for you, obviously, it's a completely different subject. You obviously still get commissions. So all of us in real estate, I think, are driven by commission at the end of the day. And obviously, your partner does real estate. So it's a win-win. So you have a basic salary and, the big money.
Yeah, and he actually just loves the chase as well. Like having that adrenaline and like doing a deal. I can see why people love it, because one deal can be your yearly salary back home in some countries. So it's a no-brainer.
Okay, so we've answered the question that we do hire people with no experience. We're very selective. And savings up to 6 months.
Yes.
Driving license is an important thing. Me and you made a lot of funny reels where a driving license opens doors in Dubai. But is that actually true? Is a driving license really that necessary? And if somebody doesn't have a driving license, what can they do?
So I think it depends on the area that you're working in. We've got strategic locations across Dubai, so the Palm Jumeirah and the Marina. So obviously, if you are focusing in and around these areas, then it wouldn't be necessary for you to get a car straight away. However, if you're working in areas like villa communities and you need to drive, obviously, if you're from the office, but some countries don't allow you to straight away transfer your your license over. So double check with the websites, but I don't think it's too necessary. I don't think it's
basically we did hire people without a license. They worked in Dubai Marina Palm. They did well. So, and what Ellie was trying to say is that you might have to apply for a new, like go to driving school basically here, like if you have a Russian passport, and it can be lengthy. It can cost you around 10,000 dirhams to not convert, you'll just have to reapply for a driving license. But if you are from Europe, you can just pay around 500 dirhams and get your license converted without any lessons.
Yeah, you just need an eye test.
Okay, if I'm completely new to Dacha, to Dubai Real Estate, what kind of support and guidance will I get?
So support and guidance is massive for us. Learning and development is huge. So the first week at Dacha, you'll have your classroom-based training. So we try to make it as interactive as possible. We use simulations because we do understand that not one size fits all. Some people learn from being spoken to, or some people learn from just doing the job. So first week is classroom based, actually in this room. And then the second week is on the sales floor, where we will have you sat next to somebody senior. You'll essentially shadow them, listen to their calls, potentially go on viewings with them, see how they interact with their clients. And then you will have ongoing support from your branch manager, who you will be sat underneath. But we do have a very open door policy. So no matter which office you're in or any management that you're under, you are able to speak to anyone, even yourself or even me in recruitment. You can come to us at any time. We do like to call the recruitment office a bit of a therapy room. So the support is ongoing throughout your career with us, and every week we do training sessions, we do off-plan briefings. So loads of development.
What's important to add is when you do join Dacha, you'll be placed in a team such as Palm Jumeirah, Dubai Marina, Villa Community. And so on top of the manager that is in charge of the whole office, branch manager, you will also have an area manager. So there's a lot of support. And I think, speaking of culture, what I hear from other agents is that the agents in Dacha are really welcoming and happy to help as well.
Yeah, 100%.
I think also it's important to add that in Dacha, we predominantly focus on the secondary market.
Yeah.
But as you just mentioned, we do off-plan briefings. We have contracts with every single developer. Mm-hmm. And actually, the best clients come sometimes from your secondary market deals, from your landlords, from your buyers, sellers. So we still do off-plan sales. And we're not limited, for example, in some companies, if you do off-plan, you only do off-plan. If you do secondary, you only do secondary. We allow you as a secondary agent to do off-plan. And maybe you can add a little bit more about the difference in companies that solely focus on off-plan versus also secondary.
Yeah, so I think that's the biggest pulling factor for us at the moment, especially with experienced agents, is ultimately when you're an agent in Dubai, the relationship's always held with you. No matter which company you go at, the relationships with your landlords, your owners, they're always going to stay loyal to you if you provide them a good service. So for us, it's really important that if you come in and you're doing, obviously you're going to have a focus, whether that's leasing or sales, naturally. But if you come across an owner that wants to sell their apartment, then why not be able to sell it? Whereas a lot of other companies, they do kind of just pigeonhole you into leasing or sales.
Or off-plan.
But I do think, sometimes it works for those companies, but I think having the benefit to be able to be so flexible is ultimately going to maximize your earning potential and also build those relationships with those clients, which is the most important thing in real estate.
Yeah, we're flexible and things that actually make sense.
Yeah.
But at the same time, of course, we still want the agent to focus on an area, because I've been doing this for, I don't know how many years, 17 years now. And any advice that I give is based off like facts. I know what it takes to make an agent succeed when they're completely new to that. And I've seen agents who try to do everything all at once fail over and over again. So yeah, we do insist that an agent focuses on their core area, but then of course if they get a rental, if they want to work on it, or an off-plan lead, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Another important thing I would like to say about agents who think that off-plan is easy. We lose a few candidates, right?
Yeah.
People who just now, we had a girl start, she knew she's coming to a secondary market company, and then somebody told her, secondary market is hard, come to off-plan. And a lot of companies, I'm not saying all, will promise you so many leads that you will be closing left, right, and center, and it's just not true. Yes, you will get some leads, but you will not be showered in leads. Not every lead is going to be a hot lead. Like, people basically think that they do a campaign for some sort of a project. They will get leads. Every lead they call will say, yes, I want to buy. And they just call the developer and they close the deal. It's not like that. It's also very competitive. Off-plan is very cutthroat. And yes, you might close one big deal, but it will not, sometimes it's not that consistent. And what I've heard from a lot of off-plan brokers is that usually they end up finding a client through their own network or through a company lead. And usually that's how the business continues from like one good client. But then it can be exactly the same in secondary market. So I think if you're new moving to Dubai, you have to give it a chance in off-plan or in secondary and just stick to it. Both are challenging, but both are rewarding in equal ways.
Yes. And just to add on that, I do think sometimes you are a little bit limited to off-plan, especially if you're working for a developer, for example. You're only able to sell their stock. Whereas here at Dacha, like, you can still sell off-plan, you can sell across the whole of Dubai.
Or you can sell your investor an off-plan project, and then when the investor wants to resell it, even if it's still off-plan, you can list it, and many other companies maybe won't even be able to, right?
Yeah.
They don't know how to. So yeah, that's another benefit.
And also, like, sometimes it's a harder sell with off-plan because it's not physically ready yet, and some clients do want to just actually go on a viewing and feel it and touch it and smell it. So there's obviously pros and cons to both, but having the flexibility is a big bonus.
So you've shared one success story of somebody who moved here with their family. Is there any success story, not even in Dacha, but of somebody who relocated to Dubai and started as a real estate agent that really like sticks out for you?
There's so many. There's so many people, especially at Dacha.
Okay, good. Give us another one then. People like inspiring stories.
Yeah, I think there's one in particular. I think you'll know who I'm speaking about when I say it. But he used to sell insurance over the phone. He lived on a little island just outside of the UK, where the population was not a lot, and it's kind of one of those I've personally never been, but I've heard that it's a little town where everyone knows everyone, and I actually called him, and he was meant to start another real estate company. Yeah, and then he was quite loyal. He was like, oh, I meant to start here, and I was like, no, come and have a chat. Sold the business, and he was like, oh, okay, I really like it, and then ended up joining us. He's been here for just over a year now, and when he first moved to Dubai, he won't mind me saying this, but I think times were pretty tough for him. He didn't move over with the suggested amount of money that I told him to, but that was the reason why he made it work, and he worked very, very hard, consistently putting on big numbers, especially in leasing.
And even the top number of deals every single month almost in Dacha. So yeah, true.
Every single month, been on billboards. He's absolutely smashed it.
And I think what's important as well, even if you do come to Dubai with the recommended amount of money, to not start spending it on brunches, luxury items. I don't know what people spend it all in Dubai. It's really, really important to just really stick to working hard the first 3-4 months at least, because once the ball starts rolling, it becomes so much easier. You just have to really give it your all in the beginning and save. And we always recommend that people who are new start with rentals because there's a big chance that they will close a rental in the first month. And now the annual rents in Dubai have increased a lot. So the commission checks are actually much higher.
Yeah.
Before it used to be like, by the way, for people who don't know, in Dubai we charge 5% of the annual rent as a commission fee. And a lot of companies have a policy that it's 5% of the annual rent or minimum 5,000 dirhams. So even if the rent is 50,000 dirhams, so 5% is 2,500, the commission will still be 5,000. So let's say usually it was 5,000. If you split it with another agent, that's 2.5, and then you have to split it with the company 50-50. But now, because the rents are higher, like villas that used to rent for 300,000 now are renting for like 1 million. The commission fees are much higher as well. So usually, if you can get a good rental in, that already covers like your rent, your own personal rent and things like that. So we always say start with rentals because you build those relationships.
Yeah. I think it's a lot more transactional. You'll start seeing money coming in quicker. Some people, obviously, depending on your financial situation when you first get here, if you're looking to make money quite quickly and you want to stay motivated, then yes, 100% go in rentals. But you do have some people that want to come here and focus on the bigger ticket stuff. We do sometimes advise people not to do that straight away, like you said, but if people are adamant that they want to focus on that, we do say to them, look, it's going to take a little bit longer, potentially 3 to 6 months to close your first sale. But obviously the fee will be a lot higher. So it just depends on the person, really.
And I think what's very important is for the people who are watching this to realize that the motivation has to come from within. Some people are like, oh, I need somebody to micromanage me. I need somebody to ask where I am. Like when a agent joins Dacha, I always say that you're a business within our business. We're partners in this, and that's why it's 50-50, right? So people who lack the internal motivation will not succeed. No. Unless maybe they go to a company where there is a small basic salary and there's a manager on top of them, like constantly asking, where are you? But Dacha culture is not like that. We are more of a supportive environment. We're here when you need us. Obviously, if we see you're struggling, there's going to be conversations, but we're not going to be calling you, asking where you are to send us your location pin. No. I know a company every day at 8 a.m., they have to share their location pin in a group. And then, like, basically the managers, like, check where you are. So that's not our culture.
Not so.
So, yeah, the results speak for themselves.
Yeah, like that's what I always say to people as well. And I think that's what makes the culture so good, is that we're that good in between where, look, we obviously know when to have a good time, but we also are here to work and make money. So that's, also what sets us apart.
What other commonly asked questions do you get during your interviews?
So one of the main questions that I get asked by candidates when they're speaking to me is, what makes a top agent different from the rest? And I personally think the biggest thing for me is that you don't necessarily need to have real estate experience, like I said earlier on, but you need to be an area specialist. You need to know the area inside and out. You need to know where all the bins are. You need to know where the local schools are. You need to know if a client points at a building or a unit that you know the layout, you know what view they're going to be able to get. You need to just know every single thing.
And have these things there as well, by the way.
But you need to be so obsessed with the area. It does become an obsession. It's not a job, it's a lifestyle, and it's a 24/7 thing. And that's what sets apart the best agents. For example, our top agent of last year, that he is always still last one in the office and first one in most days. So it's just having that mindset. And I always say to candidates, mindset is the most important thing. It's such a mental challenge. The job itself isn't difficult. We can teach you everything that we know about real estate. We've been doing it for over 21 years and we've got very experienced management. It's just the mindset that is difficult. Getting up every single day on a commission-only role when you're not used to it, or
facing a lot of rejections. We've faced a lot of rejection.
Facing rejection, and people around you are doing deals and you're sat there thinking, when is it going to happen? Is it going to be me? I've come out here with my life savings. What's going to drop for me? But you just have to have that mindset that it is going to happen. You have to be positive.
Trust the process.
Trust the process. Keep going. And eventually it will happen for you. We've seen, or personally, I've seen over the last 2 years, many success stories within Dacha that they got to that turning point that it's like you've got to pick them up a little bit and be like, right, keep pushing. And it does eventually call. So yeah.
Okay, so in terms of relocation, what is the most challenging thing about relocating from another country to Dubai?
I think people don't realize the setup costs and like how much nitty gritty goes into actually making the move. I think a lot of people just think, oh, I'm going to book a flight and then that will be it. But there is a lot of things to think about that are not the norm in some countries, such as having checks up front. So some landlords will want the rent paid up front, which isn't.
So it's not monthly.
Yeah.
It's at least 3 months in advance, usually.
Yeah. So
The commission that the tenant pays versus the landlord. In most countries, landlord pays.
yeah. So I think that's a big difference.
That's why they need to get Ellie's book
Yes.
to discuss all the all deposits for DIWA.
Yeah. So all of these like setup costs, like your life admin, where to network, things like that. I think people just don't really think about these things when they're moving.
And also, I've heard some stories where a candidate thinks that they're joining like a company. They saw the office on social media, and then they go to the office and it's completely different, because some people have like different branches, right?
Yeah.
So they would show off like this nice fancy office, but then they'll actually end up somewhere else. So I think if you have the chance as a candidate,
Yes.
to actually pop by, see the people you're going to be working with before committing to a job offer, see the offices, I think that's quite helpful. So you don't have like a shock when you actually move.
I always say look at the company's social media as well. Like I think looking at their marketing presence, that you can find out the culture of the business. If you're not able to come here for an interview in person, it's always good to look on their social media.
And even platforms like Property Finder and By You to see where the listings appear.
Yeah.
Is it a company that only has 20 listings? Mm-hmm. Or is it a company that has over 1,000 listings? Mm-hmm. Like that.
Yeah.
So I think, it's really important to do your research, Google reviews, etc. Okay, so costs, you said. And then okay, this is a good question. People are asking, does Dacha help with any relocation, such as relocation packages, housing, visas, etc.?
In terms of setting up, in terms of housing, no, we don't offer any help with that. However, of course, as legally in Dubai, if you're joining a company, they will sponsor your visa and your medical insurance. So of course, that's something that we cover. But in terms of guidance, of course, we're here to help you. That's something that I'm not just the recruiter, I'm also here to help you kind of settling into Dubai. So whether that's helping you find areas to live that are within your budget, or if you're moving with a family, what types of schools are within the community. So yeah, that's something that we definitely help you with in terms of guidance, but not financial.
What advice would you give to somebody who is perhaps a bit hesitant to make the move to Dubai?
I always say to people, just do it, especially if you have no responsibilities, such as kids or a mortgage. You're never going to be this young again where you will be able to just go to another country and try something out. Dubai is an ever-evolving city. There's so much going on. There's so much opportunity here for all different people from all different walks of life. So I 100% recommend it. And you will always be able to go home. There's always home. For me, Dubai now is home. But if for whatever reason it doesn't work out, or you come to Dacha, for example, and you hate Dacha, which would not happen. But if that did happen and you just don't like the job or you don't like real estate, you can always go back. And I always think that the life lessons that you'll learn from real estate or Dubai and moving abroad, nobody can take that away from you.
From my experience of a long time, as I said, most of the people, like 99% of the people who do come to Dubai don't go back.
Yeah.
Like there's a very, very little percentage of people who actually end up going back. And I think it's, I don't know what kind of reasons. Honestly, I can't even remember of anybody who, I know some people left Dacha for whatever reasons, but I can't remember even one person who left Dubai.
I said to my family 6 months and I'll be back.
Yeah.
And then now I'm here and I literally don't think I could ever move home.
For a candidate who's coming and joining Dacha, what can they expect in the first, let's say, 1 month? And what advice would you give them for the best kickstart?
So before you start, we will give you options of which areas that we think will be good for you based on your personality and where we think you'll be suited. So I will give that information to you before you arrive. So you'll have a time to research the area. You will have time to look at the area. I always advise you to come a couple of weeks earlier as well, so that you can actually go and see the area for yourself. And I think that makes a big difference. So I always advise you to do that. Do some research on the area before you come. And in terms of your first month at Dacha, it's just learning. Your first year really is just about learning the job. I always say it's a bonus if you start earning. You will earn something, but the second year is where you really start earning your money. And then the third year, you're basically flying.
Although we did see some amazing success stories this year where they absolutely like made really, really good amounts of money.
Yeah.
One important thing that we haven't covered because it doesn't really come up often, but people ask, what are the qualifications needed? Because in some countries you need like a long-term exam, courses to become a real estate agent. So I just want to add that right now in Dubai, there's no such thing. You do need a RERA card. You read the book. RERA is Real Estate Regulatory Agency. You read the book, then you pass the exam, and that's it. So everything, we cover that in training as well. So no special license is required apart from that, which is quite easy to get. Okay, so where do you see candidates that will join Dacha now in the next 5 years?
Our next top agent, obviously, if hired by me.
That's, by the way, a really amazing story that to wrap up this podcast. I don't even think this agent had a CV. He sent me a message on Instagram, and the message was really nice, lengthy, and I saw something in it. Turns out he was a bricklayer in UK. And then he came out here, I guess, I don't know, I don't think there's sales experience and a bricklayer, right? But maybe really good interpersonal skills, that's for sure. The recruiter didn't even want to, I think, interview that person because, like I said, no CV, but I said, no, sounds good on him, interview him. And they loved him from the first interview. He was very persistent in an area and now doing extremely, extremely well. We had the vision board workshop in Dacha, and on the vision board, he put like 5 million commission. And at that time, because the market wasn't that hot at that time, 5 million seemed like, wow, okay, he's being optimistic. And last year he surpassed that. Crazy. And even the Rolex watch he put on that vision board, the date on that picture matched the Rolex that he got as his top earner gift. So definitely Dubai is a place where dreams come very true. So thank you, Ellie.
Thank you.
If you guys do have any more questions, you can reach out to Ellie on her Instagram here, and I'll leave it in the link. She will always answer. Also, like I said, if you do want more information about relocating, get the guide. Also, if you have any questions, do drop them down below and we'll also answer. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.